How is it going, everybody? Welcome to episode one of the Logo Layups podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in already. We have a great episode in store for you guys. Brady Comer of the Hawkeye Marching Band of the Trumpet section is joining us today, and we are so excited to have him. We're talking Caitlin Clark, we're talking Cooper DeJean, we're talking about waking up and playing in Kinnick Stadium and what it means to be a Hawkeye and a student at the University of Iowa. We talk about a lot of great topics. Um, it's a great conversation. I hope you guys enjoy and enjoy the intro.
Big A got him, so you know I got him.
All right, we are here with none other than Brady Comer. How's it going, Brady? Introduce yourself real quick.
It's fantastic. My name is Brady Comer, and I'm here on a podcast. I'm in the Hawkeye Marching Band. I'm a student at University of Iowa. I'm a sophomore, also in the pep band, which I'm sure we will discuss thoroughly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First off, it is pouring outside. I don't know
Yeah,
how the weather is over there. I'm about an hour and a half away from you. So, hey, if it's on its way, it's
anything
on
can
its way.
happen.
That's right.
No, yeah,
I
it
want to
been
hop.
raining.
Yeah. I want to hop right into it because I find you very interesting. I find the Hawkeye Marching Band very interesting. And I feel like we have so much to talk about, and who knows how much time. But first off, I mean, just seeing you on Instagram, talking to you as much as we talked about, it looks like you're making a lot of really cool memories as part of the Hawkeye Marching Band. From
Yeah,
seeing Caitlin Clark hoop, Cooper DeJean's fair catch, playing in Nashville on your birthday last year. What stands out as some of your coolest or favorite memories in this almost 2 year span now?
yeah, that's a great question. I think what I didn't expect going into this from high school was like how much of like a really tight-knit community it is. Like I feel almost like despite going to a giant school with like 20,000 people, it feels really small. And I feel like everywhere I'm at on campus, I always see someone that I recognize. And being part of an organization that's like the size of my high school is really amazing because it really allows you to grow really tight bonds with people who you're always around. So I'd say like having that foundation is what allowed me to make like so many cool memories. Like you said, being at those games and stuff and being able to share those with people that I've grown to love and really enjoy being around. But as what sticks out for like singular best, I would have to give it to my freshman year bowl game when we got to go to Orlando for free on my birthday and just like mess around at Universal Studios like on my birthday was really, really cool. Can't really beat that.
No, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, Orlando, Nashville this year, Orlando last year, like your birthday just lines up perfectly, and you get to celebrate your
I
birthday the
know.
next 2 years,
I got to
hopefully with
I got
more
to go
bowl
to the
games.
location of the Hawk Tuah video on my birthday on my 20th. Can you believe it? There's no better way to spend it.
That's right. That's right. I want to talk to you. You talked about this tight knit community that is the marching band, the size of you and I's high school. I want to talk to you a little bit about the trumpet section specifically, seeing as we're both trumpets. We were both section leaders last year or 2 years ago in high school. What's the dynamic now and the culture like within the section? Are you guys all pretty close? Or are there kind of different cliques and groups? How does that work?
Yeah, so there's 60-ish trumpets. So, I mean, as a like formative unit, I would say we're all friendly with each other. We all get along. Of course, there's some drama that pops up, but generally, like not that much, which is really awesome. Of course, there are like the groups of people. I would say there's probably like five-ish like big friend groups within the section, but it's not like exclusive at all. You know, everyone talks to everyone, and it's really an inviting environment, I would say.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That kind of leads into like preparation. I mean, you guys have to be a pretty tight group to prepare for some of these performances in as little time as you do. What's kind of like your game day routine and also your weekly routine because you're putting together some of these shows. What's that routine look like leading up to Kinnick Stadium in that unique environment?
Yeah. So we go back and forth between having about 2 weeks to prep a show. Sometimes we have 1 week. This year we had, I think, a 5 week time span to prep. So I'll run through like when we have a 1 week prep because that's the most common. So on Tuesday we have rehearsal from 3:30 to 9 p.m., which is a big one.
Mm,
It's an hour and a half to 2 hours of marching, and then we have an hour for dinner, and then we come back and we rehearse for 2 hours again for music. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is all 2 hour rehearsals at night. And game day itself is a beast because generally games start anywhere from like 11 to 6, and anytime we have a game day we're always there 6 hours before the game. So when the game starts at 11, I'm waking up at 5 and we're getting to Kinnick at 5:30, and those are especially rough. Those were the first games we had both this season and last season, I'm pretty sure, were morning games. So that was, I
could imagine. Yeah.
showered the night before, changed into my gear, went to bed, woke up and got in my car. Um, so game days itself, we meet at the rec building, and then, well, sorry, the track and field building, and then kind of convene there, get our instruments. Then we walk over to Kinnick, and we're the first ones in Kinnick for the day. And morning games are especially fun because we get to see the sunrise in Kinnick, which is pretty cool. We rehearse there for a couple hours, and then we go back to the track and field building. We have a rest. Sometimes we're like waiting there for the game to start for 2 hours. Sometimes it's 15 minutes. I personally like the 2 hour time period because I get to nap. That's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
and then we have the rec show, which is at the track building. And after that, we march over to Kinnick, play there. We're standing for 4 hours, marching around, doing our thing. And then we go back to the rec building, clean up, and leave. And by then, I am ready to sleep.
Oh man, I could imagine. So I feel
Yeah.
like marching band it gets kind of a rep for being for wimps, but you get up to the college level and it is far from that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What?
It's definitely, I don't want to say it's like this super difficult thing or like you have to put in so much effort because you definitely do. But
Mm,
physically demanding wise, it's definitely on another level from high school, but still anyone can do it.
that's right. Yeah, that's a good thing about it. I want to talk to you about. I mentioned the unique environment of Kinnick, and you mentioned seeing some of the sunsets and everything. What is it like to play in front of a packed Kinnick Stadium? It's one of the most unique environments in college football with some of the coolest traditions in college football. What is that like? Because I'm sure that'll just get the blood rushing, get the blood pumping, get the
Yeah.
adrenaline going. What exactly is that like?
Yeah. So before my first game as a freshman, the section leaders and like all the upperclassmen were saying like, just like try to take it in. You're gonna remember this moment for the rest of your life. All that stuff leading up to it. And I was like, it'll be fine. Whatever. And then I walk in there and I was like, holy crap. Because you're walking out of a tunnel and you're seeing the stands and it just keeps going and going. And I don't think I played a single note the first time we did our pregame show. I was marching like this. I was like, oh my god. But no,
Yeah,
yeah, it's definitely exhilarating. But as time goes on, you kind of get used to it. It gets a lot more casual, I guess. But yeah, still definitely pumps you up because there are mornings like when I'm waking up at 5. I'm not in the best mood. I've already been
hmm
up for 5 hours and it's 11 a.m. and we've had like rehearsals and this and that. But like when you get to Kinnick, it all kind of just like washes away and it's like, yeah, this is pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. I mean, how lucky to be able to play in such an amazing environment. Um, Specifically, what's the wave like? Because I know a lot of viewers may not have ever been to Kinnick. They may have heard of the wave. How special is it to be part of that every home game and get to really contribute to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it that it's one of the best traditions in college sports. And being able to like hearing about it and then actually doing it are so different because when you're actually there doing it and you see like all the kids waving back, it almost brings me to tears every time just because of how special
Mhm.
it is. And what always gets me is seeing people on the very back of the stadium who are closest to the hospital. They're still waving like 5 minutes after it ends because they're like right there next to the kids, and that's just so special. Just seeing that connection formed at a football game.
Yeah, you you really wouldn't imagine how the feeling before you actually kind of feel it in person. It's
Oh yeah.
it's it's way different on TV versus in person. I'll go as far to say that. We've talked a lot about marching band, and of course, marching band is your main thing. But I want to talk about pep band a little bit too, because getting to watch some of the women's and men's basketball games is pretty cool too. What's the main difference? I mean, as far as preparation, as far as performance venues, what are the main differences between pep band and marching band?
Yeah. So pep band is a lot more casual. Um, we basically show up an hour before the game starts. We have our own instruments with us. We use all of our own stuff. We wear the only like actual uniform part is the zip up. The rest is we have to wear our own jeans, our own shoes, our own shirt, and definitely a lot more casual, laid back. We only have, I think, 3 rehearsals the entire year, which is like almost too much for me because we've already played all of these songs for marching band. But then you think
Hmm.
about like we have probably 25 to 30ish people in pep band who aren't in marching band, and I honestly can't imagine only having 3 rehearsals the entire season because of the amount of music we play. Like I wouldn't be able to learn it in 3 rehearsals, but
Yeah,
yeah, they definitely rise to the occasion there. But yeah, it's a lot more laid back. We play during the game, and then at the end of the day, same as marching band, we sing the alma mater, and then we just leave.
nice, nice.
Yeah,
I gotta ask you about probably the most famous person from the University of Iowa, at least in the last decade, if not ever. Caitlin Clark. You gotta see her hoop. What
yeah,
a generational talent. What exactly was it like to see her in person and to really witness that greatness?
yeah. I would say the craziest thing to me, as someone who had never even been to a basketball game before on that level, um, was just seeing how packed it was for the women's game. Because when you're in high school, you only hear about the men's team. You don't hear about the women's team at all. I never went to a women's game. Don't even know the times that they were played at, like that sort of thing. But then to show up there for, I think, pretty sure my first game was a men's game. Show up for the men's game, arena's about like 75% capacity, and then a week later to go to a women's game and its full capacity is just insane, the level of difference that it makes. And that's even rolled over to this year, where there's still packed, completely sold out women's games, and then the men's team is lagging behind a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely
Mhm.
super cool to see. And Caitlin Clark specifically, obviously she is a huge talent, and um, the craziest thing to me was just seeing the difference in the team this year and last year based on like a personal level. Like I would say, apart from Caitlin Clark, we had at least 2 or 3 other players who were like super exceptional. Like we had Hannah Stokey get I think about 40 points in one game last season, but then seeing like this year after Caitlin Clark has left, just like how much she actually did, not just for herself and her own scoring, but just like passing the ball and assists. It's crazy like how we haven't had any like individual players step out like that and get like those super high scoring games anymore. Even people who are just getting assists from her, it's like crazy the amount of difference that she made. But we're still very good.
Yeah, yeah, there's no denying that. At the time of recording, I was playing in women's March Madness and not men's. There aren't very many schools that have women's basketball teams that are outperforming their men's teams to this level. And quite frankly, it's awesome to see because it boils down to Caitlin Clark really changing the culture and changing, this generation, I'd say, and how special to see that in person and to witness that, to be on campus. Did the campus look feel any different? Like just the propaganda that she was kind of bringing in, like the popularity, and she was bringing a lot of attention to the University of Iowa and Iowa City, I'm assuming. Was there any
Yeah.
difference, or was that just kind of staying on the court?
Honestly, there was definitely a lot of hype built up around all of the students about her game and seeing her play. And honestly, it's more than just seeing her play now. It's all about like the women's team in general. And I feel like there hasn't really been that big of a change culturally, despite her leaving and the women's head coach from last year. There's still a ton of hype built up. Games are still selling out. And yeah, people are still excited to see him play, which is really awesome.
Yeah, that is quite frankly amazing. Shout out to that Iowa women's basketball team. We're kind of hopping
Yeah,
all
for
over the
real.
place. I kind of mentioned some of those. really fond, awesome memories that you might have mentioned in the beginning. I want to talk about maybe one of the not so fond memories. In a game last year against Minnesota, Cooper DeJean had this unbelievable punt return touchdown that was called back for an apparent fair catch. Um, what did you think about that play call, and how would you describe the roller coaster of emotions that you may have been feeling seeing that in person?
Yeah, that that was probably one of the loudest I'd ever heard Kinnick get for two different reasons. Number one, celebratory. After he made that catch and then went all the way, fans were going absolutely insane, super loud. And then to hear the refs come on and then make the call that they did to get even louder was it was
Yeah,
insane. And then the most memorable part for me, not even seeing like the replay or anything, but just seeing all the fans trash the field, that was I was kind of scared because I mean I shouldn't have been because I'm the one in like a helmet, but it was kind of crazy seeing full water bottles, beer cans, shooters, all that type of stuff just get pummeled onto the field. Like that's what stuck with me the most. And obviously violence is never the answer, but I get where they're coming from, type of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was I watched it on TV. Wasn't there in person, so I I was kind of having my own thoughts. Like that was probably the worst officiating call that I've ever seen. And I think that referee could be investigated for a few things, but
Yeah.
moving on, I want to talk about you personally a little bit more and just how you came to be a Hawkeye marching band member. What is there anything specifically that kind of motivated you or to like motivated you to start pursuing band at such an early age, and what's connected you to music up until this point?
Yeah. Um, so I feel like me getting to where I am now has kind of just been like an accumulation of coincidences personally. I know a lot of people have put in like a ton of effort, like they've wanted this since they've grown up and like this is a goal that they've strived to. For me, I don't necessarily like align myself with that. When I was in fifth grade, that was when we started band, obviously. My parents both said, "Oh, you should do this." We both did band, and we wish we still knew how to play, but we don't. And I was like, "Fair enough." So then, I still remember like going in there and trying all the instruments, and I came back home and I was like, "Mom, I want to play French horn because I like the way it sounds the most." And she said, "No, no, I don't like French horn. You should play trumpet instead." And I said, "Okay." And so that was how I landed on trumpet. And I am
Wow.
glad that I played it now, but I was kind of like, I was a little upset back then, but I am glad I play it now. And
Yeah, look at where you are now.
yeah, right, yeah.
It all worked
No,
out for you.
I always think like if I had actually played French horn, I probably would not be doing it past maybe 10th grade, I
Hmm.
can't, because, the trumpet section compared to our French horn section, no diss to the French horns. They're not very comparable. There was like maybe two other French horns in our high
Yeah.
school. But yeah, so that's what led me to my decision to be a trumpet player. And then also to hear like a lot of adults in my life always said to me like definitely still do it in college. That's my biggest regret is to not pursue music in college after I did in high school. And so I definitely wanted to listen to them and I was thought, I can at least give it a shot. So that's kind of what drove me to pursue it in college. It wasn't like I personally, it wasn't like marching band was a calling for me or like marching band was specifically what I wanted to do. Personally, I just wanted to pursue music in a way that I knew, in a way that I knew like I would get enjoyment out of it. And so that's why I chose to pursue marching band, and I'm definitely glad I did.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's great. I feel like the way you put it, to say that it was just a series of coincidences is really awesome because like you said, there are so many people that have taken different paths to music and have kind of strictly dedicated themselves to pursuing music, whether it be in college, after college, or just in their own time. But just to see like a different path, really cool. You mentioned your family and your mom a little bit. I know them very well, somewhat well, and very
Yeah.
lovely people, by the way. What kind of impact has your family had on your life experience, college experience thus far?
Yeah, I mean, college experience in general. they've always supported me in what I wanted to do, and also like pushed me to maybe pursue a slightly different decision than I had maybe been thinking about when, it's not like in a controlling way at all. It's like, hey, I know you're looking at doing this right now, but also like think of this, and kind of like
Mhm.
providing that guidance has definitely helped me navigate college in a world that's like, always changing and is so different from high school or any other thing that, I've ever done. So yeah, their support has definitely helped a lot.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You grew up an Iowa fan, correct?
Yes.
Was it
Iowa fan
always a
by
dream?
proxy.
Gotcha,
A
gotcha,
dream.
gotcha.
uh
Was it always a dream to attend the University of Iowa, or did it just kind of work out that way?
Kind of just worked out. I'm not a huge sports loyalist guy. I applied here in Wisconsin, and when it came time to decide, I was like, well, the experience I'll get at Wisconsin, the experience I'll get here, pretty much the same. Here happens to be like 90% cheaper, so that
Hey,
was
there
sort
you
of
go.
that was the logic-based decision making behind it. But also, I owned so many Iowa gear, I couldn't put it to waste. That's the main reason.
Yeah, yeah, that's the main reason. Because,
Yeah,
at that point, if you're factoring in having to buy all new clothes, then,
yeah,
cost kind of becomes irrelevant, right?
yeah. I'm getting a headache just thinking about it.
uh, now we've talked about sports, we've talked about bands. I want to talk about you being an absolute unit in the classroom. You are
Oh
a
boy.
motivated student first. Um, Tell us about the difficulties as far as balancing such an exciting life in Iowa City with the responsibilities of managing classroom work and managing grades and all the fun stuff that you don't want to think about being a college student.
Yeah. Um, the difference between fall semester and spring semester is just so immense because of marching band. Like on average per week for marching band, I'm spending about 17 to 20 hours outside of the classroom focused on just that thing. And that's marching band isn't the only thing I do. Like I'm also heavily involved in dance marathon. I have a job, and fall semester is kind of like where everything is accumulating. I'm trying to work as much as I can. I'm doing marching band. I'm working on doing stuff for dance marathon, and then on top of that, I also have a ton of classes that I'm trying to study for. So fall semester is definitely like the hard half, I guess, of the college year, and then spring semester, it kind of just like everything stops. Like all of a sudden, no more marching band. Dance marathon wraps up in February, and it's kind of just like school and work. So, yeah, the difference between fall semester and spring is like super huge for someone who's in marching band. And it definitely feels good to get a break, for spring, but it's also hard because you're so used to being around your friends like all the time in fall, and then all of a sudden, like that stops. So that's definitely an adjustment to make. But getting able to build a foundation of friends and network in fall is definitely what helps you, still maintain those relationships in spring. But as a for like classwork wise, yeah, I try to stay motivated. Sometimes it doesn't work. And the good thing about college is if you're like not feeling it today, can't do it, you don't have to. So that's pretty lit.
Yeah, I guess so. Does that come back to bite you every once in a while, or are you able to stay on top of it most of the time?
Yes, it does. To the first question, yes, it does come back to bite you. Yeah, no, it's definitely a struggle trying to stay motivated in classes that don't interest you or classes that are hard to grasp. But there's so many second chances that like one failed test or one missed assignment isn't going to kill you as long as you like after you make that mistake you say, okay, I can't let that happen again, and then
Mhm.
that's what allows you to bounce back.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all about bouncing back. You're gonna have rough weeks. You're gonna have rough days, especially, I'm sure. And yeah, I like how you mentioned friendships. I'm sure that's very important in college, just maintaining those relationships. You also
Absolutely.
mentioned dance marathon. I didn't have anything about that in my notes, but what a fantastic like kind of organization and like kind of event that's planned. What can you tell us about it? And is there anything you can like shout out?
Yeah. No, Advanced Marathon is super awesome. I've been involved in leadership both of my years, in the multimedia committee, which is one of like a personal passion or hobby of mine is photography and videography. So when I learned about that sector of Dance Marathon, I was like, oh, no, this is such a great organization. I have a friend who's going to do it. I'll sign up and try to get a leadership position, and I did. So what I basically did was this year I was in charge of make sure all of our events had photo and video coverage, getting photos edited for social media, press release and stuff like that, making video recaps. So yeah, a lot of my side isn't really to do with what Dance Marathon is like mostly about, which is raising money for pediatric cancer. But my committee, which is creative committee, still definitely provides a huge backbone for our organization for morale and keeping people motivated throughout the year, whether that's just capturing really important moments or making like really cool merch for people to buy. It's definitely a crossway between something that's really important and something that I take a lot of pride and happiness out of doing. So I'm
Mhm.
definitely super happy to be involved with that and shout out creative committee. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just seeing a college student in general dedicate so much time to something so important outside of themselves. I mean, that's awesome to see. I wanna recognize that and transition into a segment here. I got 10 questions here. They're not going to be yes or no. They're not going to be, super easy, but rapid fire. I'm going to just list the question, just whatever comes to your mind first, all right?
Oh boy. All right, I'm
All
ready.
right. All right. Three, two, one. Favorite music artist?
Car seat headrest.
Best flavor of Gatorade?
Orange.
Best TV show of all time?
Oh my god. I can't think fast for this one. Okay, I'll say out of like personal enjoyment and ones that I've watched the most. Not like subjectively, but like Friends.
Okay, okay, okay. I see you. I see you. Favorite clothing brand?
Wait, I have American Eagle.
Okay, okay, okay. PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
Best vacation spot?
Mountains in general.
Okay, nice. Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Football or basketball?
Football.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Yes, sir. And last but not least, who would win a fight, Herky or Psy?
Herky. Herky.
There you
I,
go.
the side might have the whole tornado thing going on, but
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
manage.
yeah. I mean, how about a hawk or a cyclone? That's a battle of the ages right there.
Yeah,
Well,
for real.
that's all I got. Um, Thank you so much for being on the podcast. This is episode one, so we're both kind of testing the waters, seeing what's up. I appreciate you working with me. Any final thoughts? Any last shout outs or anything? Anywhere they can find you on social media or anything like that?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I don't remember my handle, but if you look up
I'll
Brady
pop,
Comer, I'm sure I'm there.
I'll pop it up on the screen. I got you.
Yeah,
All right,
shout out all of this music. Listen to it.
there you
You
go.
can find it. I'm not gonna say the names. It's a fun scavenger hunt.
Yep, yep. Well, I appreciate you for being on. I appreciate all of you guys at home for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This was episode one of Logo Layups, and we will see y'all later.